I, 31M, was at brunch with my fiancée, 29F, and her friends when she suddenly announced she was calling off our wedding, in front of everyone. When I asked for my grandmother's ring back and said I wouldn't be paying for any of the deposits she'd insisted on putting in her name, her friends stopped laughing. Now her entire family is calling me heartless, and she's threatening to sue. But after what I discovered about why she ended it, I think I made exactly the right call. My fiancé looked me in the eyes across a table of mimosas and eggs Benedict and said, "I can't do this anymore. I'm calling off the wedding," while her three best friends watched like it was entertainment. I'm 31 years old, and until 2 weeks ago, I thought I knew exactly where my life was headed. Wedding in 6 weeks. Honeymoon in Italy. Eventually, a house in the suburbs, maybe some kids, the whole picture. I'd been with Sarah for 4 years. Engaged for 8 months. We'd picked out invitations together. Argued about the guest list. Compromised on the menu. Normal couple stuff. The wedding planning had been intense. Sarah had opinions about everything. Strong opinions. She wanted the best venue, the best photographer, the best flowers. When I'd suggested we keep the budget reasonable, she'd gotten defensive. "This is the most important day of our lives," she'd said. "I'm not settling for mediocre because you're worried about money. I'm not worried about money. I just think $85,000 is excessive. Other couples spend way more than that. Don't you want our wedding to be special?" I backed down. It was easier than fighting. And honestly, I could afford it. I work in software sales, make good money, had savings. My uncle had even promised us $150,000 as a wedding gift. Enough to buy a house, start our life together right. But then came the independence conversation. 3 months before the wedding, Sarah came home from a girls' night out all fired up about something. "I've been thinking," she announced. "I want to put all the wedding deposits in my name." "Why?" "Because I'm tired of being financially dependent on you. You make more money than me, you paid for most of the engagement ring, you're always the one picking up checks. I want to prove I can handle big financial responsibility." "Sarah, we're getting married. It's not about who pays for what." "It is to me," she interrupted. "This is important. I want to build my credit. I want to show I can manage large expenses. I want to be an equal partner." "You are an equal partner. Then let me do this. Please." She looked so determined, so passionate about it. And honestly, I thought it was a good thing. Her being financially empowered, taking initiative, wanting to contribute equally. "Okay," I agreed. "If it's important to you, let's do it." So we refinanced, moved all the deposits, venue, catering, photography, flowers, DJ, everything, into her name. She opened a new credit card specifically for wedding expenses. Put down $62,000 in deposits over the next 2 months. I offered to transfer her half the money. She refused. "I've got this," she'd said proudly. "I'm handling it." I thought I was dating an independent, confident woman who wanted to step up. I didn't realize I was dating someone building an escape route. The brunch was her idea. "Let's do Sunday brunch with the girls," she'd suggested Saturday night. "Just casual. We never all hang out anymore." I thought it was weird. I barely knew her friends, and brunch seemed like more of a girl's thing. But she insisted. "They want to get to know you better before the wedding," she'd said. "Plus, Morgan wants to ask about groomsmen stuff for her boyfriend." Fine. Brunch. How bad could it be? We met at this trendy place downtown. Her 3 closest friends were already there. Jessica, the maid of honor, Amber, the loud one, and Taylor, the quiet one who always seemed uncomfortable around me. The conversation started normal enough. Mimosas, avocado toast, talk about bridesmaid dress fittings. I ordered eggs Benedict and mostly listened while they discussed colors and timelines. Then, mid-conversation about whether the bouquets should have roses or peonies, Sarah went quiet. Like, dead silent. Her friends noticed immediately. "You okay?" Jessica asked. Sarah took a deep breath. Looked at me. Her hands were shaking. "I need to say something." My first thought was pregnancy. Maybe she wanted to announce it to her friends. Make it special. I smiled. ready to act surprised. "I can't do this anymore," she said. "I'm calling off the wedding." The smile froze on my face. "What? I don't love you anymore," she continued, her voice getting stronger. "I can't marry you. The wedding's off." Her friends gasped. Amber literally covered her mouth. Taylor's eyes went wide. I sat there, fork suspended halfway to my mouth, trying to process what I just heard. She didn't love me anymore. She was calling off the wedding. At brunch, in front of her friends. The waiter appeared with my eggs Benedict, set it down, clearly having heard everything. "Anything else I can get you folks?" he asked awkwardly. "We're good," I said automatically. He practically ran away. I don't know why, but I felt completely calm, like someone had flipped a switch and shut off my emotions. "Thank you for your honesty," I said. Sarah blinked. Her friends looked confused. I held out my hand. "The ring, please." "What?" "The engagement ring. It's mine. Or more accurately, it was my grandmother's. I'd like it back." "You want it back right now?" "Yes, right now." Her friends were staring at us like we were performing a play. Sarah slowly pulled off the ring, a vintage Art Deco piece that had belonged to my grandmother, worth about $15,000, and placed it in my palm. I pocketed it and stood up. "Well, this changes plans," I said. "I was going to host a wedding reception in 6 weeks. Now I'll be hosting a dodged-a-bullet party instead. Same venue, same catering, same open bar. You're all still invited." Amber giggled nervously. Jessica looked horrified. Taylor was staring at her plate. "Oh, and about those wedding expenses," I continued. "The $62,000 in deposits you insisted on putting in your name to prove you're an independent modern woman? Those are all yours now. Good luck with that." The giggling stopped. Sarah's face went white. "Wait, what?" "Your name on everything. The venue deposit, the catering, the photographer, the flowers. Remember? You insisted. Said it was important for your credit building and independence. Congratulations on your independence. But you were going to help pay." "I was going to help pay for our wedding, which you just called off. At brunch, in front of your friends." Jessica whispered, "Oh no. And one more thing." I pulled out my phone, pulling up the email my uncle had sent me last month. My uncle was planning to give us $150,000 as a wedding gift. Had it all set up in escrow, but that was contingent on us actually getting married. So that's gone too. I pulled 2 20s out of my wallet and dropped them on the table for my untouched food. "Enjoy brunch, ladies. I've got a party to plan." I walked out. I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I could even start the engine. My hands were shaking. My chest felt tight. My mind kept replaying the scene over and over. She'd called off our wedding at brunch, in front of her friends, like it was a performance. I pulled out my phone and called my best friend. "Mike, dude, are you okay?" He answered. "You sound weird. Sarah just called off the wedding." "What? When?" 20 minutes ago. At brunch. With her friends there. Jesus Christ. Are you serious? She said she doesn't love me anymore. Just announced it. At a restaurant. Where are you? Parking lot. I'm okay. I mean, I'm not okay. But I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm coming to get you. Send me your location. No, it's fine. Send me your goddamn location. You're not sitting in a parking lot alone after getting dumped at brunch. He picked me up 15 minutes later. We went to a bar. I told him everything. "You asked for the ring back in front of her friends?" Mike said, impressed despite the situation. "It was my grandmother's. No way was she keeping it. And the money stuff? All in her name. All of it. She insisted. Wanted to prove her independence." Mike started laughing, then stopped. "Wait, you're serious? She's on the hook for all of it? Every cent? Holy shit. That's like, what, 60 grand? $62,000 in deposits. Plus she'll have to pay cancellation fees for everything. And you're not paying any of it? Why would I? She called off the wedding. She put everything in her name. These are her consequences." Mike raised his glass. "You know what? I think you just dodged a bullet, man. That's what I said. I'm throwing a party about it. You're throwing a... Wait, you were serious about that? Completely serious. I already paid for a venue and catering. Might as well use it. Can I help plan this party? Absolutely. The fallout started about 2 hours after I left brunch. First call was from Sarah's mom, Patricia. You can't just abandon her with all that debt, she shouted the second I answered. You were planning to get married. That money was for both of you. She called off the wedding. The expenses were in her name at her insistence. I'm not legally or morally obligated to pay for a wedding that isn't happening. But she made those deposits assuming you'd help. She made those deposits assuming we'd get married. She ended the engagement. That's on her. This is heartless. What's heartless is calling off a wedding in public at brunch. Your daughter humiliated me. Now she's dealing with the financial consequences of her choices. That's not heartless. That's life. Patricia started crying and hung up. Next was Sarah's sister, Melissa. Text. She's having a panic attack. The wedding costs are going to ruin her financially. You really going to let that happen? Me. She really going to call off a wedding publicly and expect me to still fund it? Yes, I'm going to let that happen. Melissa. This is so cruel. She made a mistake. Me, she made a choice. Big difference. I blocked her. Then Jessica, the maid of honor, called. Look, I know she handled this badly. Badly? She called off our wedding at brunch. With you guys there as an audience. She was scared. She was calculated. This wasn't a panic attack. This was planned. She brought me to brunch with her friends specifically so they could watch. Okay, that's fair. But the money situation. Can't you help her with at least some of it? Why would I do that? Because you loved her. Past tense. Correct. She ended that Sunday at brunch. Jessica tried the guilt trip angle for another 10 minutes. I hung up. Monday evening, I was making dinner when my building intercom buzzed. I checked the camera. Sarah. She buzzed again, for 15 minutes straight. Finally, I answered. What? We need to talk. No, we don't. Please. I made a mistake. I was overwhelmed. We can work this out. You don't love me anymore. Remember yesterday at brunch? I didn't mean it like that. I was just scared. The wedding was getting so real and I panicked. You meant it enough to say it in front of your friends. You meant it enough to blindside me at a restaurant. You own those words now. What about the wedding costs? You have to help me. I can't afford $62,000 in debt. Should have thought about that before calling off the wedding. This is financial abuse. I actually laughed. Financial abuse? You put everything in your name. You made that choice. I'm just not bailing you out of the consequences. I'll sue you. For what? Not marrying you? Good luck with that. She stood there crying for another 10 minutes, trying different angles. I watched on the camera until she finally left. Tuesday brought the lawyer letter. An email from some attorney demanding I pay my share of the wedding expenses, since they were undertaken with mutual understanding of shared financial responsibility. I forwarded it to my own lawyer, David, who I'd retained that morning. He called me an hour later, laughing. This is the worst demand letter I've seen in months. She has absolutely no case. She's claiming mutual understanding. She put the contracts in her name. She called off the wedding. There's no mutual anything. You're completely clear, both legally and ethically. How much will it cost me if she actually sues? Maybe $5,000 to $10,000 if it somehow goes to trial. But it won't. Any judge will toss this on summary judgment. It's frivolous. Then defend everything. I'm not giving her a cent. You got it. This'll be the easiest case I've handled all year. By Wednesday, I'd started to hear whispers about why Sarah had really called off the wedding. A mutual friend, someone who worked with Sarah, reached out. I don't know if I should tell you this, Kelly said over coffee, but I think you deserve to know. Know what? Sarah's been seeing someone. Not physically, she swears, but emotionally. This guy from her gym. My stomach dropped. For how long? 3 months, maybe? She'd talk about him at work. How he got her in ways you didn't. How he was more spontaneous. How she felt alive around him. She was having an emotional affair. Yeah. And I think she called off the wedding because she wanted to pursue things with him. Thought it was true love or whatever. I sat there, coffee getting cold, processing this new information. She hadn't fallen out of love with me. She'd fallen in love with someone else. The brunch announcement wasn't about being overwhelmed or scared. It was about trading me in for an upgrade. Does this gym guy know about the wedding debt? I asked. Oh, that's the best part, Kelly said. He found out about all of it. The $62,000, the breakup drama, the lawsuit threats. Ghosted her immediately. Apparently, he was looking for fun. Not someone with a mountain of debt and crazy ex-fiancé energy. I started laughing. Couldn't help it. So she blew up our relationship for a guy who ghosted her the second things got complicated? Yep. And now she's alone, broke, and panicking. Hence the lawsuit and the family pressure campaign. Karma works fast. Real fast in this case. Thursday, Sarah's father called my work line. I still don't know how he got the number. You're destroying my daughter's life over pride, he said without preamble. Your daughter destroyed her own life with her choices. She made a mistake. People make mistakes. And people face consequences for mistakes. That's life. I'm offering to mediate. We can split the costs. You pay half, she pays half. Clean slate. No. Why are you being so stubborn? Because she didn't just break up with me. She called off our wedding at brunch in front of her friends. For maximum humiliation. Then I found out she did it because she was emotionally cheating on me with some gym guy. Now she wants my money to clean up her mess. That's not stubbornness. That's self-respect. We can't afford to help her with all of it. Then she'll need to figure it out herself. Like an independent modern woman. He tried threatening me. Said he knew people. Said I'd regret this. I informed him I record all my calls in a one-party consent state and hung up. The dodged a bullet party planning became my therapy. I sent out invitations to everyone who'd been invited to the wedding. About 60 people total. The response was overwhelming. Mike, this is the greatest party concept I've ever heard. I'm bringing 3 bottles of champagne. My cousin Jenny. I always thought Sarah was using you. Glad you figured it out before the wedding. See you there. My coworker ROB. Can I bring my girlfriend? She needs to see that men can have spines. Even 2 of Sarah's friends reached out. Not Jessica or Amber, but Taylor and another girl, Monica, who I barely knew. Taylor, what Sarah did was wrong. I'm sorry we laughed. We didn't know she was going to do that. I'd like to come to your party if that's okay. Monica, she's been talking about that gym guy for weeks. We told her to break up with you privately if she wanted out. She chose the public humiliation route. You don't owe her anything. I added them to the guest list. Friday evening, Sarah's sister Melissa showed up at my apartment building. Security called me. Sir, there's a woman in the lobby asking to see you. Says it's an emergency. What's her name? Melissa Harper. Tell her I'm not available. She says she'll wait. I sighed. Fine. I'll come down. Melissa was sitting on the lobby couch, tissues in hand, eyes red. Thank you for seeing me, she said. You've got 5 minutes. Sarah's falling apart. She's lost 12 pounds. Can't sleep. The debt collectors are already calling. That's unfortunate. She knows she screwed up. She knows she hurt you. But this punishment doesn't fit the crime. What punishment? I'm not doing anything to her. I'm just not rescuing her from her own decisions. You could help. You have the money. I do have money. Money I'm keeping because I didn't call off my own wedding and stick myself with unpayable debt. The $150,000 from your uncle. Can't you ask him to give it anyway? Use it to help her. I stared at her. You want me to ask my uncle for $150,000 to give to my ex-fiancée who called off our wedding so she could date a gym bro? Are you actually insane? I'm asking you to have compassion. She had an affair. Emotional, but still an affair. She called off our wedding publicly to humiliate me. She's trying to sue me for money I don't owe her. Where's her compassion for me? She made a mistake. She made a choice. Multiple choices. She's getting exactly what she chose. I stood up. We're done here. Don't come back. Melissa started crying in my lobby. I went upstairs and didn't look back. The lawsuit was filed the following Tuesday. Breach of promise to marry. Unjust enrichment. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. David called me. She went for the nuclear option. Filed everything she could think of. Is any of it valid? Not even remotely. Breach of promise is antiquated and rarely succeeds. Unjust enrichment requires that you received a benefit which you didn't. And emotional distress? She called off the wedding. That claim is laughable. How much is this going to cost? Maybe $8,000 to $12,000 if it goes all the way to trial. But I'll file for summary judgment. This should get tossed pretty quickly. Do it. Whatever it costs. You're sure you don't want to settle? Offer her something small to make this go away. Not a chance. She chose this fight. We're finishing it. The party was scheduled for Saturday. The Wednesday before, I got a friend request on Facebook from someone named Tyler Brooks. The gym guy. Curious, I accepted. He messaged immediately. Tyler. Dude. I had no idea she was engaged. She told me she was single. Just wanted you to know. Me cool. Thanks for the info. Tyler. She's been blowing up my phone. Says you ruined her life. Me. I didn't call off the wedding. Tyler. Yeah, that's what I figured. She's intense, man. Like scary intense. Good luck with whatever's going on. He unfriended me right after that. I laughed for a solid 5 minutes. Even the guy she left me for thought she was crazy. Saturday arrived. Party day. We'd rented out a local bar. Cost me $800 for the space and some appetizers. The banner was hung. Dodged a bullet. A celebration. 32 people showed up. My family. Mike and the guys. Co-workers. Some college friends. Even Taylor and Monica. Sarah's former friends who'd reached out to apologize. My mom pulled me aside early. Are you sure about this? It seems harsh. Mom. She called off our wedding at brunch with her friends watching. They laughed when I said I'd throw a party. Now I'm throwing the party. That's not harsh. That's follow-through. But all the fighting over money. She put everything in her name. She called off the wedding. She's dealing with the consequences. I'm just not being a doormat. Mom hugged me. Your father thinks you're handling this well. Thanks. Just don't let this make you bitter. Okay? There are good women out there. I know. But first, I'm celebrating not marrying a bad one. Mike gave a toast about an hour in. To my best friend, he raised his glass, who dodged not just a bullet, but a whole firing squad. And to him having the spine to not pay $62,000 for the privilege of being dumped at brunch. Everyone cheered. We took photos in front of the banner. Posted them on social media, not tagging Sarah, not mentioning her, just celebrating. Taylor pulled me aside at one point. I'm really sorry about how we acted at brunch. When Jessica and Amber were laughing, I wanted to say something, but I didn't. Why not? Because Sarah had been planning it. She told us the night before that she was going to break up with you at brunch. She said it would be empowering to do it publicly, that it would prove she was taking control of her life. My blood went cold. She planned it. Yeah, Jessica and Amber thought it was brave. I thought it was cruel. But I didn't say anything, and I'm sorry. Did she tell you about the gym guy? Taylor nodded. She was obsessed with him, thought he was her soulmate. We tried to tell her to just break up with you privately, but she wanted to make a statement. Well, she made one. For what it's worth, I think you're handling this perfectly. She made her choices. Now she gets to live with them. The party wound down around midnight. I was cleaning up when my phone buzzed. Sarah's mom. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. How dare you, Patricia said. How dare you mock my daughter publicly? Those photos, that banner, you're humiliating her. I threw a party with my friends. Didn't mention her once. That banner. Those posts. You're making a joke out of her pain. She humiliated herself when she called off our wedding at brunch to chase a gym guy who ghosted her. I'm just living my life. She's talking about bankruptcy. Do you understand that? She can't pay these debts. This will destroy her credit for years. Then she shouldn't have taken on $62,000 in debt she couldn't afford and then dumped the person who was going to help her pay it. You could stop all this. Just help her with some of the money. No. Why not? Because she didn't just break up with me. She planned to do it publicly, in front of her friends, for maximum humiliation. Because she put everything in her name specifically to prove her independence. Because she's been trying to sue me, harass me, and make me the villain. Because I don't reward people who treat me like garbage. Pick a reason. Patricia started crying and hung up. The lawsuit was dismissed the following Thursday. David called with the news. Judge took one look at the facts and tossed it. Told her lawyer to advise his client to stop wasting the court's time. How much did this end up costing me? $9,200 total. She'll likely have to pay her own attorney fees too, which are probably in the $5,000 range. Good. You sound satisfied. I am. She tried to bully me legally. Failed. Now she's out even more money. Cold, but fair. 2 weeks later, I heard through Kelly that Sarah had moved back in with her parents. Had to break her apartment lease, more fees. Was working 2 jobs trying to pay down the debt. Her credit was destroyed. She'd applied for debt consolidation, but the interest rates were brutal. Did I feel bad? Not even a little. She'd made every single choice that led to this moment. She chose to put the expenses in her name. She chose to have an emotional affair. She chose to call off the wedding publicly. She chose to refuse my help until it was too late. She chose to try to sue me instead of taking responsibility. I just chose not to save her from herself. 1 month after the party, I tried one more approach. My dad texted me. Sarah showed up at the house today. Me and Dad. She was crying, begging me to talk sense into you. Said she was going to lose everything. Me, what did you say? Dad. I said you called off the wedding. You're not family, and my son doesn't owe you anything. Then I closed the door. Me, thanks, Dad. Dad. Son. I'm proud of how you've handled this. A lot of men would have caved to the pressure. You stood your ground. That meant more to me than anything. It's been 3 months now since the brunch that changed everything. Sarah is still living with her parents. Still working 2 jobs. Still drowning in debt. I heard she might file for bankruptcy, which will tank her credit for 7 years. Do I feel guilty? No. Because here's what everyone who's been pressuring me to help her doesn't understand. This isn't about the money. It's about respect. She disrespected me in the worst possible way. Planned my public humiliation. Executed it flawlessly. Then expected me to fund the cleanup of her mess. That's not how life works. She wanted independence. She got it. She wanted to prove she could handle big financial responsibility. She's handling it. She wanted to call off the wedding publicly. She got to do that too. But she doesn't get all of that and my money. You don't get to humiliate someone and then demand they rescue you. Me? I'm doing great. Got my grandmother's ring back. Had it appraised, worth more than I thought. Keeping it for now. Maybe I'll give it to someone who actually deserves it someday. The apartment is peaceful. I forgot how quiet life could be without constant wedding planning drama. I've started dating again. Casually. No rush. Taking my time finding someone who actually loves me instead of loving the idea of a wedding. Work is going well. Got a promotion, actually. Turns out not being stressed about a failing relationship is good for productivity. Financially, I'm out about $10,000 total, lawyer fees, the party, miscellaneous costs. She's out $62,000 plus legal fees plus moving costs plus destroyed credit plus 7 years of bankruptcy. The math works for me. Someone at work asked me last week if I'd ever consider helping her now that everything's settled. If seeing her struggle makes me want to step in. I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said. Not even a little. Because if I help her now, I'm telling her that she can treat me however she wants and I'll still be there to clean up the mess. That's not love. That's enabling. She needs to learn that actions have consequences. Maybe this will teach her that. That's pretty harsh. Is it? Or is it actually the kindest thing I can do? Let her learn from her mistakes instead of preventing her from experiencing the consequences of her choices. They didn't have an answer to that. The other day, I ran into Jessica at the grocery store. She saw me, looked like she wanted to disappear, but I walked right up to her. "Hey," I said. "Hi," she said quietly. "Look, I'm sorry." For what? For laughing at brunch? For thinking it was brave when Sarah planned to humiliate me publicly? For pressuring me to pay for her mistakes? She winced. All of it. I was a terrible friend. To you and to her. I should have told her not to do it that way. Yeah, you should have. She's really struggling. I know. And you don't feel bad? Why would I? She made her choices. These are the consequences. I didn't create this situation. I just refused to fix it for her. Jessica looked at me for a long moment. You're different. You used to be so nice. I'm still nice. I'm just not a pushover anymore. Turns out there's a difference. I walked away. The best part of all of this? I actually did learn something. I learned that I'd been in a relationship where I was always the one compromising. Always the one backing down. Always the one making sure everyone else was happy at the expense of my own boundaries. Sarah had been walking all over me for years, and I'd let her because I thought that's what love was. Sacrifice. Accommodation. Always saying yes. But that's not love. That's being a doormat. Real love is mutual respect. Equal partnership. Two people who care about each other's well-being equally. Sarah only cared about Sarah. And when I finally stopped prioritizing her feelings over my own dignity, she couldn't handle it. The dodged a bullet party was the best $800 I ever spent. Not because I wanted to humiliate her, though I won't pretend that wasn't satisfying, but because it was the first time in 4 years that I did something completely for myself. That I stood up and said, my feelings matter too. My dignity matters too. I'm not going to let you treat me like garbage and then expect me to smile about it. That party was my declaration of independence. And every time I see those photos, I'm reminded that I made the right choice. So, am I the asshole for refusing to pay for wedding expenses after my fiancée called off our wedding at brunch? According to her family, yes. According to the people who watched her humiliate me, yes. According to anyone who thinks being a good person means absorbing everyone else's terrible choices without complaint, yes. But according to me, according to the guy who finally learned that you can't light yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, according to the man who chose self-respect over being the nice guy. No, I'm not the asshole. I'm just the guy who stopped being one. And sometimes the most important lesson you can learn is this. When someone shows you who they really are, when they look you in the eyes and choose cruelty over kindness, the most powerful thing you can do is believe them, walk away, and never look back. Even if everyone else thinks you should stay and help them clean up the mess they made.